Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of One Pod Life. Now this week I am sitting down with Dan Brown, who is a professional golfer, and he's no stranger to the Challenge Tour, because he actually managed to qualify in his first year as a professional golfer. Unfortunately, he lost his card, but after a few years of battling his game and a bit of mental health, Dan is back where he belongs with a different outlook on how he's going to stay there. We talk about his amateur career, winning the Men's English and North of England Open amateur titles. He also opens up and tells us his struggles he went through with his mental health and shares his insights into what makes a successful professional golfer. So sit tight, enjoy this episode, and please welcome Dan Brown. So thanks for coming on the podcast, Dan. I hope you're well. You're doing this on the side of the road in your car. Thank you very much for pulling over and giving us the time to come on. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, no problem, yeah.
Good stuff. So let's just dive in to the deep end and just ask exactly when and why you started playing golf.
I can actually remember when it sort of first clicked for me, really. I was probably about... I'd say I was probably about 6 or 7, and I can remember my dad, because my dad and granddad always played golf. My two granddads both played golf, but I can remember watching it on TV. Like, obviously my dad was watching it on TV, and I can remember watching Tiger Woods. I know it's a bit cliche watching Tiger Woods, but I can just remember watching him, and I think he had such like a presence about him, I think. And then just watching him, it's obviously sparked an interest off for me. So I started from there, really, probably when I was about 6 or 7 years old, I would have said.
Love it. And what can you remember what actual tournament that was, or?
No, I can't remember the tournament at all. I can just remember just watching him, and that was it, really.
Right. Okay.
And then I've turned to my dad and basically just said, I want to go to the driving range or whatever it might have been at the time.
Okay, so is your early days in at the range with your dad, or maybe sometimes your granddad's?
Yeah.
And is that where the addiction started there, and you didn't look back?
I think so. Yeah. And then I don't know if I was like sort of mega into it when I was that age, but I can remember going to the driving range for the first time.
Yeah.
And then I'm not really sure what sort of happened in the period between then and then, when I was sort of like 11 and 12, when I sort of started getting all right.
Mm-hmm. When you say getting all right, what is it? What handicap did you have at the age of 11 and 12?
I think I can't really remember a handicap, but I can remember when I was like 11, 12, I can remember going to like Yorkshire coaching, like under 14s Yorkshire coaching, and that was when you sort of know that you're quite good.
Yep. Fast forward a few years, and then you end up winning the English Amateur Championship. What I saw was a tremendous fight back. Can you talk us through how you won that? Yeah,
so Ganton, it was quite nice, really, because it was in Yorkshire at Ganton, like sort of a golf course that I knew fairly well, through just playing like Yorkshire events there and stuff like that, and going and having a few games there. So it was quite nice that it was sort of close to home. And then just played really well. But I can remember playing the first round. Obviously, English amateur, you have 2 stroke play rounds to start off with, and then top 64.
Yep.
Going through into the match play, and I actually played quite badly the first day, and sort of I'm pretty sure I needed to go out and shoot like 3 or 4 under the second day to make it sort of through the last 64. And then obviously managed to do that, and then from the rest of the event, I played really well. Like all the match play rounds, just played really solid. And then got to I was actually one of the games. I think it might have been the semi-final or the quarterfinals. I think I was like 7 up after 9 holes.
Wow.
6 or 7 up after 9 holes, but then ended up going down the last. So that got a bit nervy, obviously being so far in front, and then and then obviously the guy who I was playing against clawing it back, and then getting a bit too close for comfort. But yeah, obviously happy to get through that. And then I actually stayed with George Bloor, who was in the final. Who was in the final with me?
Oh, okay.
So that was quite nice to have like sort of like two roommates throughout the week make it to the final.
Rivals for a day afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
No, I played with him today at Kedleston Park, so
Okay.
He's obviously, I think he's forgiven me. So
that's good to hear. So that was back in 2016.
16, yeah.
Yeah. Did you win the North England Open Amateur as well at the same sort of time, or?
Yeah, I think that was a little bit later on in the year. I think that might have come about a month or two later.
Okay.
And then I think we won with Yorkshire as well. We won the county finals in that period as well. So I had like quite a good sort of like 2-month period from like starting off from the English Amateur and then winning at county finals with Yorkshire. And then the North of England Open, which was at All Woodley.
Nice. So what would you say was, did you notice anything in those two tournaments that you won, and obviously the county stuff as well? Was there anything in there that sort of just, I don't know, was a turning point for you where you realised, I could do this quite regularly and do it as a pro?
I think so. Yeah, I had quite a good year, a whole year really that year, like quite solid. And then obviously when you do get a win, it's a big boost. It gives you a big boost of confidence. Like, yeah, I can kind of do it, and then it goes from there. I think that's why you see a lot of guys who will just hit like little periods of form, and I think that's probably what I went through for about 3 months at that stage, where you just hit a bit of form, and then you sort of almost feel a bit invincible, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did that then lead you, because you as well in your amateur career, you played for England quite a lot. You played in the home internationals against Spain. Was that again a combination of, because you're playing so well, you then sort of went into that with a bit more enthusiasm as well, or is that slightly different?
I think so. The European Nations Cup, I think, was it the following year, I think. Mm-hmm. I think so. I actually, to be fair, I sort of played for England when I was in my final year as a junior, so when I was like sort of 17, 18, and then moved up playing for England men, and then I actually had a year where I got kicked out of the England team for a bit too much partying, I think.
Well, okay.
So that was after a home internationals game at Portrush. I'm not sure what year that was. I think it might have been 2015, and then the following year didn't get picked for the squad. Mm-hmm. But then obviously played my way back in, just through winning like the English Amateur and the North of England. I think.
Yep.
Sort of gets to a point where they couldn't really say no for much longer.
No.
So I was a bit of a bad lad when I was sort of.
I was gonna say, have you learnt from that, or are you still doing the partying?
I've definitely learnt from it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I couldn't really figure out what year you actually then decided to turn pro. And could you also give us the reason why you decided to turn pro at that time as well?
Yeah, it was end of 2017, I think it was. So it was like it was the year after sort of that, the English Amateur. I turned pro like the end of the year. It would have been about September, October time, I think, and then went to Q school. But I'm not really too sure what sparked me to turn pro, to be honest. I think you just get to a point where you feel like you're playing well enough. I don't know. I think something maybe just clicks in your brain, and where you think, right, I'm gonna give it a crack. So then turned pro September. I think it was September time. Went to Q school. At the end of the year, got through first stage, second stage, and then got to final stage. I think I missed the cut by 1 or 2.
Right, okay.
But still managed to get quite a good, an all right category on Challenge Tour, where I played, I think, about 12 events.
Okay, that's cool.
The following year, yeah.
Well, going back to the decision to turn pro, I was going to say there's only so much sort of amateur golf, I guess, you can play before you start to, I don't know, not saturate on there, but you just get used to that sort of level, I guess. So the next thing is just turn pro and dive in the deep end, I guess.
And take that step up.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so like you said, you did really well at Q School. Managed to get yourself 12 starts on the Challenge Tour back in 2017. What was that first season like then when you turned pro? And did you? I'm not too sure. I did try to do some research on it, but when did your first win come as a pro as well? So, yeah, talk us through that first season, and then when you actually got your first win, how did you feel about it?
It actually all started off like really well. Sort of picked up where I left off in the amateur game, really. Like obviously getting a card at Q School, and then I played 3 Evolve Tour events the following year, sort of like February, March time, out in Spain. And that was actually where my first win came. It was I think it was in the first event. Like, so obviously the first event I played in as a pro was Q School, but the first actual sort of event where you're not trying to qualify for anything or what have you, that was the first event at Evolve. So I ended up winning the first one I played in, and then finished second. There was like a 3 event sort of swing out there. Finished third in the second one, and then won again in the third one. So it all started off like really well. Like it got quite off to quite a hot start really when I turned pro.
So you probably thinking this is quite easy.
Yeah, no, it's a weird one. It probably didn't do me any good, I don't think.
No. Starting
off so well, because I think you then get a little bit above and beyond your station, I think, sometimes. Or I certainly did anyway. I sort of thought, oh, this is going to be all right. Like, I'll make a bit of money and hopefully progress like quite comfortably, but it didn't work out that way. Like after that, it sort of like went quite rapidly downhill.
Okay.
I got a bit of a shock, when I sort of played my first few events on Challenge Tour.
I bet that's probably a big big eye opener. The level that you need to sort of up to, I guess. So, is there any reason particular that you think it went downhill, or is it just because you got a bit above your station on those first 3 events?
Yeah, I think a few. I haven't really spoke about this too much.
Okay. Sorry.
But no, it's all right. But I actually wasn't very well sort of mentally. Like a few things had happened off the golf course, like 2 or 3 things happened off the golf course, and then was struggling for sponsorship on my first year on Challenge Tour. So I was sort of like a combination of a few things away from golf, and then that sort of led into the golf season really. And then it was just like a battle with money and just being a bit down in the dumps, and it can obviously spiral out of control if we don't have a job, unfortunately, where you get sort of paid every month. You've got to go out and earn it, and if you play badly, then you sort of go home with nothing. So I had a few weeks of that, and then it just sort of spiraled from there, really.
Okay.
And was a bit sort of depressed and what have you for probably a good year, I would have said.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that information.
It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So how did you combat that then? If you don't mind me asking a few more questions on it. How did you sort of get yourself out of that after a year, and then get back out playing again?
Yeah, I think it was just I took some time out at the end of that year. I probably at the end of the Challenge Tour year, I didn't keep my card on Challenge Tour. And then obviously following season go to Euro Pro, but that winter I sort of took a little bit of time out. Probably about 2 months, 2-3 months, where I just didn't touch a golf club and just worked on myself a bit really, and just tried getting happy away from the golf course. And then the following season on Euro Pro didn't play too great, sort of wasn't quite there mentally still. But it was certainly better than the year before.
Yep.
And then at the end of when would it be? And the end of 2019, after the Euro Pro season, I had about 4 or 5 months where I didn't touch a golf club once.
Wow.
And I was sort of on the brink of sort of deciding, what do I do? Like, where do I go from here? Do I carry on playing, or do I get a job? And was very like to and fro in. I was close to sort of just packing it in completely.
Yep.
And then obviously like lockdown happened, and that was probably actually one of the best things that happened to me, really, was the lockdown, because I could just have like 2-3 months where I just sort of got myself sorted. And
you was almost forced to reset, I guess. Or you had the opportunity to reset and sort of see where things were, which is quite good.
Yeah, because at the time when the lockdown happened, I think it was about March, wasn't it? I think the first one.
So it all kicked off sort of like end of 2019, didn't it? Sort of started, and then March was the first proper lockdown. Yeah.
And then, so obviously events got put back like sort of 2 or 3 months, which helped me really, because I was nowhere near like ready to start playing again at that point. And then just through lockdown, just really like sorted myself out. And once it came to the end of it, I was like, right, I'm going to knuckle down and give it a good go. Because I never really, I would say when I was younger, I always practiced a lot.
Okay.
But sort of like mentally, like the sort of 18, 19, 20, 21, I was a bit of a party animal, didn't really practice too much, take it too seriously. So I just said to myself, right, I'm going to give it a real good go and work hard and see where we can go, basically.
No, good stuff. Well, fast forward a little bit. This year has been a pretty good year for you, if you don't mind me saying. I kind of caught wind of you sort of halfway through the year, especially when you're playing on the 2020 Pro Tour, and you ended up becoming the Order of Merit winner, which was a great achievement.
That was good.
Yeah. So what would you say this year's been? You said you obviously were going to give it a good go. So what would you say you focused on more this year than you have in the past?
I think just away from the golf course, just sort of not going out as much, and just sort of like living the life of a professional sportsman, I suppose.
Okay.
And then just like practice every day, like 6-7 days a week, just practicing and just really like working hard at my game. And then mentally, I set myself like a goal for this year. Normally, you'd set yourself a goal of like, guys will say, "Oh, I want to win on Euro Pro, or I want to finish such and such in an event or on our order amount." But I just sort of said to myself that I didn't want to get back in that place where I was 2018, like 2019, where I wasn't happy. I was like unhappy all the time, and it just led into my golf. So I just said to myself at the start of this year, I was like, just go out and like enjoy it, work hard, and then see where it goes, really. So I didn't really set too many goals, to be honest.
Okay.
It was just more of a stay happy and enjoy it, really.
Mm-hmm. That's good. So like you say, you took the more, I guess, professional approach to it all, like a European Tour player would. I guess you obviously that's where you're wanting to be and emulate their level. So you need to be like them now, so that you're prepared when you get there.
Exactly.
Which I think is fantastic, mate, if I'm honest. Also, I saw a post you put up the other day saying that you obviously this year you did get quite a few sort of sponsorship opportunities that come your way, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of read it like you felt like the wheels were off, so you could actually go and play golf and enjoy it and not have to worry about getting that paycheck. Would that be?
Yeah, that was
right.
Bang on, really. That's helped so much. Like just sort of all my expenses being paid, and I can just go out and, rather than thinking about money, which is what I did in the first couple of years of being a professional, I could just go out and actually focus on winning and performing well, rather than thinking about how much I'm going to earn. And like, if I finish this position, how much am I going to pick up and what have you. So that's been like a huge weight off my shoulders. So like, yeah, a big, I'll do a little plug here. A big thank you to CTS and WS Transportation for what they've done.
Fantastic. My previous guest, Giles Evans, he said the same sort of thing. He got a bit of backing from somewhere, and he finished second on the Clutch Tour and on Ordinary Merit. And he said he just had that freedom to go and play golf and not have to worry about where's the money coming from. So I guess obviously sponsorship is highly important when you're at that level, just so you can perform at your best.
Yeah, it's amazing what it does, because a year on, like a typical year on Europro, you're talking 10, 11,000 pounds just to play Europro, and that's without anything else on top of it. So you go from sort of like, if you do have that financial sort of backing, you then actually are in a position to make a decent living out of the game, rather than it being a constant battle all the time.
No, definitely. And like I said, that led to you playing really well on the 2020 Pro Tour, becoming the Order Merit winner, which was fantastic. So congratulations. Yeah. And then you went off to the Challenge Tour Q Score, I guess it was, wasn't it?
They didn't have. I don't think they had.
Oh no, sorry, not Q Score. It was
the Europro Tour final.
That's the one I'm talking about. Sorry, my bad. The Europro Tour final, where you then did qualify to get back on the Challenge Tour. Yeah. So congratulations again.
Really,
so you sort of gone full circle. Now you're back on there with a completely different mindset. So again, how do you feel about the fact that you've now achieved that status back again? And I guess again, what are you going to change going forward to keep it there?
Yeah, it was such a good feeling, because I knew going into that final event that I needed to finish sort of top 3 or top 4. Mm-hmm. But then you're always like relying on what other people do as well, because it was like double prize money for the final event. You sort of, if you get a couple of guys that come from behind you in the Order of Merit going into that week, then it can all change as well. Then I might have had to finish like second on my own or what have you. So that was a big relief to sort of play the way I did, knowing that I had to have a really like strong finish. Mm-hmm. And I think normally when I've had a few seconds this year, and normally you come off feeling a bit deflated, like thinking like could have just picked up a shot here and there and could have maybe gone on to win, but this time it was like I finished second and I've got a Challenge Tour card, so it was like just such a good feeling. Yeah, that's a win. That's all. Didn't matter. It's just like, it's just like a huge relief, like a weight, like just drops off your shoulder. So it was really good. Well, I guess I get it. I guess it was a second time round for you, so it's sort of solidified that you are good at what you do. You are good enough to be at that level. Yeah. So. It proved what you said to yourself at the start of the year, where you're going to give it a good go and be professional about it. It's paid off. Yeah. So, I think what you've achieved this year, from what you said about the last 2 years, 2019, 2018, mate, that's fantastic. Well done. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. So going forward, obviously Challenge Tour next year, fantastic. Are you still not set yourself any goals, or are you going to just again stick with the one of just be happy and play golf? Or has the stakes changed? Yeah, I think so, to be honest. And then because I think it's worked for me this year, just going out and enjoying it. Yep. Like obviously we are very fortunate. You forget sometimes we are very fortunate to be doing this as a living, like being a professional golfer. Like you get to travel around all over. You create some like really good friendships as well along the way, where you spend a lot of time with your mates while you're away. So it's easy to get bogged down and sort of be a bit down in the dumps. So I think just enjoying it just working hard and enjoying it. I mean, I don't really I might set like the odd goal, but I'll probably just sit down with my coach at some point and speak about that really. But yeah, what's worked for me this year is I'll definitely take into next year.
Yeah, great. I'm
and
guessing
then just see where we can go.
Yeah, and I'm guessing you're going to have the financial backing as well from those guys that have done this year. Obviously, they're probably delighted that you can get onto the Challenge Tour as well.
Yeah. I've spoke to them as well, and they're as chuffed as I am. So.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to ask a couple of, I guess, not technical questions, but sort of more in-depth questions, really. So one of them was going to be, what are the worst struggles about being a professional golfer? And I think you probably reeled off about 4 or 5 already without even knowing it. So, but I guess for yourself, what would you say is the biggest struggle as a professional golfer?
I think it probably varies for a lot of different people. I mean, at certain points it was definitely like money. I was a bit too hung up on money.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think another hard thing to do is just win. I think.
Yep.
So like it's a hard thing to do. Like it doesn't matter what tour you play on, whether it's like Euro Pro or even just like 2020. Like it doesn't matter what tour you play on. It's hard to win. So that can be a struggle sometimes. Like just getting over the line.
No. I was going to say, once you got that monkey off your back, do you feel like that sets you free a little bit as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think you're always confident in your ability, but I think once you get a win, you sort of like cements that confidence, if that makes sense.
Yep.
You sort of like, you go from like knowing you can, like thinking you can do it, to knowing you can do it.
Now, One Pod Life is brought to you in partnership with Energy Golf, the leading golf development platform. They are committed to providing a service that allows you to reach your maximum potential by improving your mindset, creating physical longevity, and funding your golf career. What they've done is take professional tour team experience and brought it to you through their platform so you can have your very own tour team in your pocket. Energy Golf offers the ability to learn from leading professionals in the fields of fitness, nutrition, breathing, caddying, psychology, business, as well as proven tour winners and many more. There are also courses based around the mental aspects of golf, such as mental toughness, emotional control, and self-esteem. Visit energy.com to learn more, and to claim your exclusive 1-month free trial, simply send an email with the subject OnePodLife to info@energy.com and enjoy. Now let's get back to the podcast. I was going to ask this question, but I don't think you're going to answer, because obviously you haven't really set any goals or anything, but possibly, what do you think you need to take it to the next level?
I think just improve everything, really.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the beauty of golf, is you can never really perfect anything.
No.
So I think just like tightening up and improving sort of every aspect of my game would be what I'm certainly looking to do over winter, and come out next season even better than what I've played this season. Okay. I think just working hard with my coach and getting some real good sort of work done over the winter.
That was my next question. What are you doing? What are your plans for the winter? How are you doing those sort of 1% to get any better?
I think I'm definitely going to go out somewhere to for a bit of warm weather training. Probably sort of like November time. Try and get out for a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And then come home for Christmas, and then once you get to January, I'll probably go away again for a good solid sort of 3 or 4 weeks if I can.
Yeah.
Because obviously when you're back home, it's unfortunate that I've got the luxury now to be able to sort of go away winter training, but in the past it can be quite difficult. So you sort of working on your game at home over winter, but it's not quite the same. All you can really do is you can't really put the hours in that you would be able to when you've got the really good facilities and the nice weather.
Oh, 100%. I'd love if I could go away for 4 weeks, work on my game.
Yeah, yeah. The quality of practice is just so much better when you're out there. And
any destinations in mind, or are you still open to that at the moment?
I won a with the 20 along with the 2020 Order Merit. That came with like a week away, like a winter training trip for a week, I think, and I think that's in Portugal. like Amendeira in Portugal. So that'll be one place I'm going.
Nice.
Probably January time, go there, and then I haven't really got much else planned really. Just talk about potentially going to Turkey in the next 2 or 3 weeks, which would be nice.
Nice.
Just anywhere that's sunny, really. Just try and find somewhere where you can get a bit of sun on your back and some decent weather. And
no, good stuff. Okay. Quick sort of fire around questions. I've got a couple of things here. I'd just like to ask people what they are. So what's your number one favourite golf course you ever played?
Fancourt Links in South Africa.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That was amazing, yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'll have to check that one out. I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
The best shot you've ever hit in a tournament?
Good question. The most I've probably got 2, like the most recent ones in terms of what I've gained from it was like the final 2 shots I hit at Slaley Hall on Friday in the Tour Championship.
Nice.
To sort of get my card, I had 92 yards left in. I started off. I hit a terrible tee shot down 18 in the final round, and then had to sort of like wedge it out. Left myself 92 yards, and then managed to knock that in quite close to about 5 or 6 foot, and then holding the putt. So I'd say them 2 shots probably in terms of what it's done and what I've achieved from it.
No, nice. I like that. And the last one for a bit of fun. If you could have an ultimate 4-ball, so you plus 3 people, who would it be?
I've spoke about this before.
I've
had quite a few conversations about this question.
Does it change regularly?
It sort of like pops up, doesn't it? Who do you want to go for dinner with? Who do you want to play golf with? I'd go Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
Tiger Woods. Just because he's like my idol, obviously growing up watching him all the time.
He's got to be there.
Yeah. And then third one, I'd probably want someone like really funny, like comedian type, sort of like a Peter Kay, someone like that, I think.
Okay. That's interesting.
I think that'd be a good 3-ball. You've got a good mix there where you can watch Tiger where you can watch Tiger and it's impressive, and then load of stories from DiCaprio, and then have a laugh with Peter Kay.
I like it. No, good stuff. Okay, Dan, thanks very much for giving us an insight into yourself, and especially this year. And thank you for giving that information about yourself. Like you said, the time you struggled for those 2 years. So, I appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much. What I want to end with now is the reason why I started doing these podcasts. As people know, if they listen to this regularly, I've got aspirations of one day playing professional golf myself. So I wanted to talk to you guys to understand what it's like and how you do it. And one of the questions I like to ask at the end is, if you could give 3 tips to any aspiring golfer, what would they be?
Work your nuts off.
Yep.
Try and have the best sort of support and people around you possibly can, because you do go through some quite low times and you need that to just sort of pick you up again. And then sort of in terms of playing, I'd say get as good as you possibly can at driving the ball and holding putts.
Okay. There's one.
So that's sort of like 4 tips, but
yeah. No, that is one thing I've noticed, because I've caddied a couple of times on the Clutch Pro Tour.
Yeah.
And one thing I have noticed is that just off the tee with the driver, it's just 10 out of 10 every time. Obviously the wayward shot comes in, but they just mustered off the tee every time, and that's where most of the shots gained are from. And like you said, holding the putts as well. So
yeah, I think so. I think if you hit a lot of fairways, I just think it's difficult to shoot a bad score from when you're in the fairway all the time.
100%.
Whereas if you hit a few sort of poor tee shots, you can just get out of position, and then you're sort of chasing it from there. I think if you're a good driver of the ball, it's massive, really.
Okay.
In terms of being able to shoot a low score and have your bad scores a lot better.
Yeah. We're happy to know that my winter training involves driver every day. So,
yeah. No. Driver every day and hole putts inside 10 feet.
Holding putts is easy. I could do that. It's just off the tee problem.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, thank you very much for putting up on the side of the road and having a chat with me about yourself. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, not a problem.
Cheers, mate, and good luck on the challenge tour next year.
I'm gonna drop in Jordan Smith, Brad Moore, and George Blow, because that's who I played with today, and they told me to drop their names into the podcast. So
okay,
there you go. I've chucked them in a bit late, but
now they're in there. I'm going to be on them to get onto this podcast. So
yeah, we had a good money game today, so it finished up all square. So we've got a rematch at Ganton at some point, I think, in the next couple of weeks.
Good to hear. All right, mate. Well, enjoy the rest of your night, and thanks for coming on, and speak to you again soon.
All right, not a problem. Thank you.
So a big thank you to Dan there for coming on the podcast, especially as he pulled over on the side of the road and recorded this from his car on his phone. So thank you, Dan. And I've got no doubt that Dan is going to stay on the Challenge Tour this year, but even more go forward and get in that top 20 to sort of graduate up to the European Tour. So good luck, Dan. And I definitely believe you're going to do it. So thank you guys for listening to this episode of the podcast. Hopefully getting one out to you in the next week or two. In the meantime, don't forget to share this with your friends so they can listen to some great insights from professional golfers. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at OnePuttLife. Until then, speak to you soon.